on time and increase efficiency as an
Mhm.
operator, which is the property management software. So thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ryan, for having me. My background is actually was not like a traditional property management background. I was actually from developing AI for aircrafts and humanoids. Then when I started my own Airbnb property management business, it actually blew up. Super excited about that, fortunately. Grew to like 38 listings, and I realized it is not easy. It is a full-time job. The moment you even have two listings, it just becomes a full-time job, not a side gig. And there was no real solution which did the work for you. The only thing that I found was like this Frankenstack, which is there's a PMS which will help you with the channel integrations. There would be a pricing tool. There would be a place where I can find vendors or I can manage them. But I was still the one being on call all the time. And if I had to take that away, I had to manage an entire team of VAs and now figure out how to hire them, how to manage them, how to make property guides, which was again a business, which I didn't want to do or couldn't do at that point in time. And that is what we solve at HostEasy, which is we are all done for you property management OS operating system where AI and humans come together to do the work for you. That's the idea. We're making hosting Airbnbs easy, host easy.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you
Mhm.
for being here. I'm excited to get into it. And yeah, why don't we just first start by talking about the different features? You mentioned some of them. So,
Mhm.
guest communication, that's a huge one that can take up a lot of time.
Mhm.
Calendar syncing, when you have different listings on Airbnb, VRBO, booking.com,
Mhm.
Google Vacation Rentals, syncing calendars, making sure you can block off dates if needed. Also if there's guest resolutions or
Mhm.
different security deposits, stuff like that. So all the things that go into a potential property management software, could you start to go through what that looks like with Host Easy AI?
Yeah, absolutely. So, how it looks is initially all you have to do is go on our website. Welcome to the new era of short-term rental operations. And then once you do that, um, you all you have to do is click on automate my rentals or sign in. I'm going to sign in right now because I already have listings on my channel on my account, and you will see all your listings. Now, initially, when you join in, you would see no listings at all and you would be on the onboarding page. Now, adding a listing is as easy as just clicking on add listing. And of course, you add the locations because we can manage listings in any country whatsoever because Alfred talks in more than 120 languages. So we also support all currencies out there. You do import listing, click on single listing. You will literally put the link of your Airbnb listing. Make sure the Airbnb link is live and boom, it will just import it. Now, initially, when it imports it, you will see something like that. On the onboarding, you will see the properties come up like that. Now, initially, your properties would be locked. You will, of course, unlock the properties. The moment the property is unlocked, you will begin the onboarding process. Now, our onboarding is as easy as just import, onboard, which is give us the information we need, and also connect. Now, like I said, we are an entire operating system which replaces all your use of any PMS or any pricing tool or any breezeway or turno or anything like that where if cleaner vendor coordination is needed, as well as any kind of revenue managers that you need. And on top of that, it also replaces for you to not having any VA altogether. So for that, we also handle your Airbnb support, Airbnb or any kind of property channel that you have where you have to have any guest disputes. We also resolve that and work that for you. So the first thing you will do is you will just click on add host easy as a co-host. You will just copy the email and just add us as a co-host. Once you've done that, now Alfred, which is our AI, is actually going inside your last 100 conversations and learning everything about your listing and populating all the things that we need to know already, right? On the meantime, you can actually set up the calendar, give us the calendar details that you want it to be. If not, you can always leave them empty because we will always put them to the best of settings possible. By best settings, I mean the settings which are going to make you the most amount of money possible. Yeah. So you don't have to learn all of that from scratch. Now, once you've actually gone through the entire process of this, it's literally as easy as now you would join our Discord, which is that is where when you click on this, what we do is that we are there for you 24/7 and within 5 minutes, we always respond. So you have full support, not just about what if something is wrong with the operations, but we are there for you for anything that is going on in your Airbnb property that you need answers for. We
Right.
are the one who manage your operations. That's it. Once you've done the onboarding, the final step is connect, which is where you would review all the settings you added, and then you would click on this. Now we allow you to connect to 90 plus channels, not just Airbnb or VRBO, but almost every single channel that you can think of, you can connect to it. Once you connect, and boom, voila, we're live. Once you're live, your property goes here in live section. And this is where it's think of it as a control panel. Because we actually are replacing all of these things that you want to replace, all the Frankenstack that the industry uses right now, you have the full control. What I mean by that, imagine if for one of the properties you're like, hey, I want to be the one doing the guest communication myself. Everything else you guys can handle. It's literally as easy as just clicking on this button and disabling guest communication. Boom, it's disabled. Or you can enable that, and we know we're going to do that. You can also add your operations team. Now I'm going to go through one by one. I'm going to go through what are all things available here. How do you connect? Where do you see what? And then I'm going to show you what all knobs you can pull to have full control and full transparency into the operations. And Ryan, feel free to ask or direct me into any specific section you want me to go. So I'm going to focus more on that. Sounds good?
That sounds great. Let's keep it going.
Amazing. So right now, if you're looking at it, whenever you are giving your property over to someone to manage in some way, you have to tell them everything about the property itself. And that itself is a very cumbersome process, because what happens is there's nuances. Imagine a guest asks at 2 a.m., hey, how do I turn on the pool? Now we need to know exactly where the pool is, where the pool heater is, where the jacuzzi is, how it works, what it does not work. And all those nuances is what differentiates a great operation from a mediocre one. An operation which is going to make you at least 23% more revenue and make a super host compared to the one which actually is meh and actually leads you to lose money. Yeah. So all these nuances are baked into this one thing. You don't have to know anything from scratch. Inside this knowledge base, we have compiled the questions which literally are every single thing that we would need to know end to end in order to really do a great operations. And when I say we, the good thing is in this we is our team, which we provide to you, which is 3 VAs working 8 hours each, available 24/7, an account manager who knows your listings and everything inside out, who is available as well and is very experienced, and Alfred. Alfred is the AI which does 70 to 80% of the monotonous work, the work which humans tend to fail at, because humans are not good at being as consistent or as available or retaining the information or the nuances that you have about your property. Alfred never sleeps, never forgets. And that's the beauty of the system. It's the only symbiotic system which brings humans and AI together for less than the cost of what you would pay for a Frankenstack, right? And it's done for you.
Yeah, and
Now,
just to be super clear, you say, Frankenstack. Can you explain that when you're saying that?
absolutely. So if I am to share with you, essentially a Frankenstein right now looks like this. The more properties you have right now, if you are actually giving it someone, you will be using a PMS software.
Yep.
Yeah. Or you would be, because that will be like a guesty, hostfully hospitable, which is going to help you to do channel managers, right? Which is to allow you to be on multiple OTAs
Yep.
without having double bookings. The second thing is a dynamic pricing to actually price yourself in a way that you can have the maximum revenue possible, which is like price labs. Then third would be like a cleaning management tool, which could be something like Breezeway or Turnover.
Mhm.
Then you would need a vendor sourcing tool, which is so you have to find vendors. So you would go to Thumbtack or you would go to some other place or a Facebook group to find a vendor. Now, if you have VAs, so you have to have documentation and SOP. So you're going to use Notion. Yeah. And if
Yep.
you're using any AI guest communication tool, which first of all is always out of the loop because they don't know all the things that are going on with your properties, it's literally just a quick reply on steroids, right? Which is kind of not smart. It just can be. Then it's another AI communication tool on top of that, which you have to manage. And on top of that, if you're sharing now passwords for your profile, for your channels, so you have to have a password vault. So when you combine all these things together, it becomes a tech stack. It's almost like a Frankenstack, which is deceivingly you're paying so much. And now on top of that, the thing is, imagine you have one change. One change, for example, is, hey, you did not allow or have baby crib as an amenity in your house. And now you do. So now you will have to now go and make that change everywhere. You'll have to first tell your VAs to make sure that they know about that. Then you have to add that to your documentation and SOP. Then you have to make sure your PMS software has that amenity on all the OTAs. And then you have to make sure if your pricing should be different because now you have a better amenity which causes more revenue. You see, it's like almost an impossible game to win. And that is the reason why more than 73% of Airbnb hosts have less, like even property management companies in US have less than 28 properties because it's almost impossible to scale on this Frankenstack.
Mm,
And that is what we solve in
yep.
this one unified solution, which looks as clean as just this.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's super helpful. And you
Mhm.
mentioned the knowledge base. So one of the things we're talking about a lot for owners and investors to eventually be able to hand off the operations or really have
Mhm.
these tools work for them. One of the
Mhm.
biggest things is upfront as you're onboarding a property to feed the knowledge base
Mhm.
as much information as you possibly can, because
Mhm.
that is the information that the AI guest communication is going to use. If you
Yes.
have anyone on your team that needs to go and do a maintenance task, or a cleaner
Mhm.
that needs help with something, it needs
Mhm.
to figure out where is the breaker box, where is
Mhm.
the HVAC equipment, what is the model
Mhm.
number, what size of the
Mhm.
filters. All of the information we need to feed it up front is so important to making sure your
Yes.
operation is successful. And you mentioned you have a bunch of questions, and that doesn't surprise me, to fill up this knowledge base. How many
Mhm.
questions, just to give people an understanding of really this one? And again, this is upfront, this is during onboarding, but it is so
Yes.
important to make sure you are
Mhm.
filling out all of these questions. So how many questions are in this knowledge base to make sure that these properties are
So
complete?
So we call them dynamic questions. They range anywhere from like as low as 87 questions to high as 220 questions. And why I say that is because imagine right now I said, do you have a smart lock? It's a no. Yeah. But if do you had a smart lock, now the additional questions came in, right?
Right.
If you don't, so we don't need to answer them, right? And that's why we call them dynamic questions. So if you don't have some of the things, so those questions won't appear in total. Maximum are not less more than 290 and minimum is about 80 questions, right?
Hmm.
But now it's a lot of questions, right? Onboarding takes time. How do we solve onboarding? Well, you have a lot of ways to answer these questions, and it's actually super exciting that we get from our clients right now. I'm going to give you some examples. One of the way is the traditional way, which is how you fill up a Google form. In this case, you don't need a form. You can just answer them here, like yes, no, maybe, and answer the information. Yeah. The other way is you see this talk to Alfred. When you click on this, Alfred will literally call you and it will ask you the questions which are not answered already. And you can put any number you want. When you click on that, call me now, you will get the number, right? I'm getting a call right now, but I'm not going to pick it up. Right, and then I just ended it, right? So it will literally like a voice call conversation. We call it onboarding on demand. And
Hmm.
what that means is that you can literally be driving towards your house, and within that 40 minutes, 30-minute drive, you can answer all the questions and it automatically fits that in.
Yep.
Or if it's not your property or you're having a conversation like you and me are having, a lot of our clients are property managers, and what they do is that they have a walkthrough video, and during a walkthrough video they have a conversation like we are having right now,
Hmm.
and they literally put the transcript of the conversation and tell Alfred. So we invite you to our Discord. In Discord there's our team as well as there's Alfred. Okay. And these, every channel that you see are actually live channel, live listings that we're looking at. The nothing is test in this point of time, right? And if I go there and if I show you um, some of the, I'm going to open like one of the, any of the listings, right? Here, perfect, right? You can just tell Alfred, you can do both things. One, you can ask if you have to find the information, you can ask Alfred and be like, Alfred, do we have a baby crib here? And Alfred will respond to you what the baby crib, like if there's a baby crib or not. Or you can tell it, Alfred, this is all the information I have. This is a transcript of my conversation which answers all the question. Just fit in all the information knowledge base. It will fit in the information of knowledge base, right? It's as easy as that. Literally, it's like talking to a human who's super intelligent and knows what they're doing. You can make them do the work for you. So that's also one of the ways that we make onboarding super easy. You can call, you can text, or you can just tell it, either or.
Yeah. Yep.
So there is no baby crib for Twain Avenue. Now we know.
Yep. Now we know.
Now, the second part is the property access, which is you need to give us access and Alfred access to able to automatically allow to change the codes or know what the lockbox code is if you have a lockbox. And all of that sits here. If you have smart home devices, you can just click here and I'm going to maybe show you like an example of a listing. This property has door lock, not smart lock. And if you have a smart lock, you see this key, this is how it comes up, right? That,
Yep.
okay, this one has a smart lock. So you can see if it has or not.
Yep.
You go here, boom. It's as easy as clicking on import new devices. It will ask you for the credentials for any of the device that you are using. We
Yep.
connect more than 2000 plus devices. So that's nice.
Mhm.
And then all the devices will show up like that. It shows you the online status, shows you the battery, shows you the errors if there's any. And if you want, you can just click here and also make a new code. You can see all the codes right now that already are, and you can also create a new code. But we may go a step further. You know how I said Alfred is your property manager?
Mhm.
A property manager would not just go to the dashboard and actually try to do things, right? He would have complete access to the door lock as well. Is that right?
That's right.
So Alfred does has access to that. I can literally ask Alfred, can you show me all the codes, the smart lock codes right now? And it will do that. I can right now ask Alfred for this listing, hey, can you unlock the door? It will unlock the door. I can ask you to create a code. It will create a code right in front of you without even going anywhere.
Right.
It's literally like having a conversation. And the good thing is, imagine if you have a guest who is logged out. So what happens? You wanted to create a code. Imagine there's a reservation event, right? Literally, Alfred is like, it has access to it. So it will first do the background check, like send, and then change the lock code, right? And schedule cleaning. Like, that is literally how it works. So all the things that you can do over here manually, Alfred thinks when it needs to do that, and it actually does it for you.
Right.
That is the idea.
Right. And just on this, so for the smart locks, we have a different module on smart home devices, but one of the biggest things is customizing codes for each guest.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
when a guest checks out, we want to make sure their code checks out with them so they can't come back to the property. And that ensures your property stays safe and it ensures each guest has their unique code. And I imagine with this platform, you can also create codes for vendors and
Hmm.
cleaners. So when we have different people going on site, we want to know who is going on site and when, and not giving them
Yes.
complete access to
Yes.
a generic code they can use whenever they want to show up, but we have a little bit of control over which codes will actually work for these
Hmm.
vendors, for these cleaners, for these guests to control
Hmm.
who can actually get in and who can get out of the property. So it's a very valuable tool we use as a property management company as well. So I want to highlight that, but
Hmm.
we can continue going through this. So what's next?
Absolutely. So, of course, if you want to show you, see, it told me all the codes which are set up for anything. And I can literally be like, hey, can you make a new code called Ryan? And it should be Ryan, what's your lucky number? Give me lucky 4-digit numbers.
We'll do 8802.
8802. Boom. As easy as
Beautiful.
that. And it does that. Now, you know how we are doing this? It's like a conversational cell where you're telling it what to do.
Hmm.
And that is what we do on ChatGPT or Claude as well, right? Any kind of ChatGPT or Claude, it's like the problem with them is that they tell you what to do. We have made it such that it does what to do, right? It doesn't tell you what to do. It actually does what needs to be done, right? But the problem is right now you have to be in control. You have to be the one telling everything. What if you can schedule everything that you want to be done at that point in time? And that is where we become super powerful. It changes the game altogether. Now, how? Usually, you would have heard the concept of scheduled messages, right? Which is when a new guest comes in, rather than you trying to send the message one by one, you can schedule the messages at certain point in time to give them the information they need. For example, this person has set up check-in instructions at this, which is to be sent one day before their check-in time. Yeah. So
Yep.
this is a very good kind of like a message that has all the information that is needed, like Wi-Fi password and codes and things like that, that they can send.
Right,
Now,
and
same
on
thing.
this really quick, I imagine your team provides templates, so we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
check-in
Mm-hmm.
messages the guest receives before check-in, to have the Wi-Fi, to have the
Mm-hmm.
smart codes we just talked about, to have any
Mm-hmm.
information in guest manuals so they understand the
Mm-hmm.
property and the neighborhood. Also, check-out instructions. We'll do
Mm-hmm.
a request for a review, part of collecting five-star reviews, which is so important in this business, and
Yes.
Akshay, could you just confirm and show everyone how people get access to these different messages, where they can
Absolutely.
send them on repeat to each guest?
Absolutely. By the way, Ryan, your code has been made. Right.
Beautiful, thank you.
Right. I'll say yes, and I'm gonna also show you in the listing itself how it comes up. So, to answer your question, Ryan, essentially what happens is a lot of times we have a lot of extensive experience of what messages gives you the best review, what messages, what time really works. So when you click on import action templates, you can literally import this and click on import. I'm not gonna do that right now, and it will lay down all the actions and all the messages that needs to be done what point in time, so you don't have to come up by yourself.
Mhm,
It's all done for you. Now the thing is, with any kind of PMS that you use right now, it's only allows you to do things all the way from like check-in to check-out. Yeah.
mhm,
But we know real work actually happens before check-in and after checkout. And that's where our workflow allows you to set up scheduled messages or actions all the way from the time you got inquiry to 15 days after checkout, which is post checkout.
mhm,
And it does not just include guest facing messages, it also include cleaner facing messages. If you add a cleaner, if you add a maintainer, if you add a handyman, you can also send them a message if you want, or a notification, just from here, right here, like that. And the way it works is that here you see how it says send message. You can choose to send it to the cleaner, to the owner, or the guest, and that's it. And that message at that point in time will go to them. Now, what is better than a scheduled message? What if the message was intelligent? So, Ryan, you have managed all listings, right? And
mhm.
you would realize sometimes things don't go as needed. Yeah.
Huh?
Now, this message, which is like request review from guest, is actually gonna make the guest give you a review. But what if they did not have a good experience? Would you want them to send this message?
No, that's a good point.
Exactly. And now, right now, if you have listings, you have to be the one on top of that to skip it and do any of that, right?
Mhm,
But what is the whole point of having an AI property manager if it can't look up on it? So it's as easy as a condition to send. We have intelligent scheduled messages. You can literally mention any condition because Alfred knows everything about it, that it can decide whether this needs a condition needs to be this message needs to be sent or not. And you can be like, hey, only send this message if you think guest had a great review. That's it. Boom. Now what happens is, when you did that, now this message automatically would be skipped and Alfred would notify you, hey, I'm not sending this because as per the conversation, everything that I see, it did not go well. And that is the benefit of Alfred knowing what is going on with the cleaners, what is going on with the maintenance, what is going on with the conversation itself, which Alfred does for you, that it can allow it to literally act as a very hyper vigilant property manager 24/7 working for you.
mhm,
That's the idea. Now we have gone a step further on top of that, which is if you look at scheduled messages, in this case, we call it an operations flow. It's for a reason. You see these green boxes? So, green boxes are actions. Like I said, we do all the work for you, which is like it's not just a message. What if you want to leave us the review as well? You can just mention rather than message, you will select action. And in the SOP, you will mention what needs to be done at this point in time. So 3 days after checkout, Alfred gets, hey, if there are no issues are found, leave review for guest. And if damage are reported, then ask host how to proceed. Then we will check. You can make it whatever you want. And if
mhm,
Alfred thinks everything is good, it's going to do it. If Alfred does not know what needs to be done, it lets the host know and our team know that, hey, operations, can you help me out with it? I can't do it right now because I don't have access or something like that.
mhm,
That is how we really automate your operations end to end, not just messages or like a tool which is allowing you to automate things. And it
mhm,
also goes for things like guest filtering. Like, look at this. This host is like, hey, at the time of inquiry, filter the guest. And they give us exact steps that needs to be done to filter the guest, which is verify booking details, then make decision, assess communication, look at their history, if they're 4-star reviews or not. You can make it anything you want. And the good thing is, all of the thing that we have found to run a crisp, amazing operations which lead you to 5-star reviews time and time again are available just by importing this. When you import your cleaning flow, import your guest flow, it is all here, including the messages and actions. And also, these are reservation specific tasks. What if some task needs to happen outside the reservation because it's a house at the end of the day? This is where periodic task comes in. So in this case, they said, hey, you can set up a new task, which can be a monthly task, a daily task, or a weekly task, and it will trigger, and we will do that at that point in time. This person wants a monthly reservation details every month, okay, at 10 a.m. Sunday, March 1st. Boom, they get exactly this. All the reservation of the month, compile them in this format.
Yep.
As easy as that. Some
Yep.
people do like, hey, turn on a pool heater every day and then turn off at 6 p.m. So we do that. So you can also schedule the task on a weekly or daily or bi-weekly or monthly limits. And that is the idea. When I say task, it includes actions and messages both. And that's how we become super powerful when it comes to like a done for you service rather than like a tool that you have to be the one operating.
Right. Right. Because this could be potentially dozens, if not hundreds, of different
Mm-hmm.
steps and
Mm-hmm.
messages and points of coordination. And it
Mm-hmm.
gets put all in one place. And I know for someone starting an Airbnb listing for the very first time, this might seem like it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of upfront setup and upfront work,
Mm-hmm.
but it looks like you also have templates they can start with, and then they
Mm-hmm.
can customize those templates as they please. And then on top
Mm-hmm.
of that, they have Alfred, so this AI intelligent system that can help them make sure the
Mm-hmm.
process is clean, whether it's sending guest check-in messages or
Mm-hmm.
coordinating the door lock for each guest or coordinating cleaners.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that would be great to see is how you work with vendors and
Mm-hmm.
cleaners to make sure that they are informed on when a clean is needed, when a maintenance issue is needed to be
Mm-hmm.
taken care of. And on the back end of that, if you could show us how you confirm that that task actually got handled in this program.
Mhm. Absolutely. So that's where the cleaning workflow comes in, right? And the good thing is, it might seem like a lot of work, let's say, but let's say I'm going to see if we have a test listing or not, which is so for a new user, the setup looks like this. Imagine you have nothing. You just go on template and boom, import. That's it.
Hmm.
All of the messages came in. You will do and then you would go get some cleaning workflow, import, boom. Now the cleaning workflow comes in, right? So it's literally on you how you want to set it up and everything just comes there like that, right?
Yep.
Uh, Now, to answer questions about how we deal with the cleanings, we invite every cleaner or operations team or vendor. We call them your operations team. So I'm going to give you like an example of where like they really added. Whenever you add a vendor, you see this icon here. Yeah, you see electrician, general contractor, HVAC. So you see which listing actually have a vendor or what kind of vendor or not. Now I'm going to show you what this and like disable and enable means uh, right now. Okay. So adding a cleaner is as easy as just going to my operations team, clicking on add vendor. And if you have a previous vendor, you can add them right like that. Or if it's a new vendor, you will just add their name, Akshay, yeah, or what the email is or phone number. The moment you click on confirm, they will get an email or an SMS with like an invite. They click on the link and boom, they're here. They get access to the calendar. They do not get access to any of the reservation details like pricing and things like that or name of the guest, but they do get access to the calendar, when the reservation is, how many guests there are, because that is what they need to know. Same goes for general contractors as well. And the good thing is you can add as many vendors as possible, and you can literally make one primary if you want, just like that. It's like, no, 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 Julian's not working that good of a job. You can just go and make them Kenny your primary. And everyone would know about that who is the primary and who is not. In the same way, you can add a general contractor, landscaper, pool person, anything that you need. You can just add them here. Yeah. If
Yep.
you want, we can also find cleaners for you if you add your budget here and notify us on Discord. And the
Right.
good thing is, by the way, we offer white glove onboarding. What that means is that if you do not want to do any setup, once you sign up, we will also do all the setup for you for no additional cost. That's also one of the options that we provide. Now, once they're invited to our Discord, that is what we do on cleaners, you will see a channel. Here, if you see a cleaners channel, yeah, the cleaners, all of them. So that is where we actually communicate with the vendors or cleaners if you have any. I'm going to show you some of the examples. Like here, this is where we communicate with the cleaner. We make sure cleaners is on Discord and we actually have a conversation with them and we are there all the way. We always make them go through a protocol where they have to send us the verified pictures, where then we actually also verify the work and then the payment is sent.
Right.
That allows us to have full comprehensive record of all the cleanings that were done properly, and also you have full visibility as to what is going on if you have any questions. If
Right.
cleaners find anything was broken, any damages, they are our first point of contact, and we literally notify them or notify you to handle that in the best way possible with all the recommendations that we would give you.
Yeah, so as property managers, this is one
Mhm.
of our standard processes is to
Yes.
require cleaners to take photos of
Hmm.
specific items. So we wanna see what does it look like under the sink to make sure that's
Hmm.
stocked. Does each bed have enough pillows, and is it
Yes.
does it have
Hmm.
towels left out for the guests?
Hmm.
All these little nuances that we can only see if the cleaner sends us photos. So
Yes.
that is one of the most important things, especially for anyone that's managing out of state or in a city they don't live
Hmm.
in. This is how we verify that we are getting five-star service from our cleaning team as well as our maintenance teams. So just to confirm, for Discord, is every cleaner required to go onto Discord in
Yes.
order to submit photos and confirm these cleanings?
Yes, we make it mandatory for them to add to Discord, because once they add, it's very easy for them to add all the information. But all the reminders go over text as well as Discord as well, both. And the
Right.
reminders are set here. So if you go to operations team, here it says remind cleaners, right? 24 hour before check-ins, remind cleaners, check out schedule and watch out same day check-in, right? So it comes to them like that. Like, see how it mentions, hey, just a quick reminder to check out tomorrow, 19th of April. Thank you. Right. And we always like confirm that they have responded back and they're good for it. Right. And that's how we absolutely make sure there are no surprises on the day of reservation. The cleaning is to happen the way it needs to happen right after the checkout. And we are always in control. And if not, we always make sure that you add, or we will find you a backup cleaner as well. So we have a backup to lean on always.
Right. Right. And then just to make sure you as the owner or investor knows when the cleaning is done, that is
Mhm.
going through, or I guess, Akshay, could you confirm that is once they send photos in Discord, that's
Yes.
when we know the clean is done. So if a guest, let's say,
Mhm.
wants to have an early check-in, we are
Mhm.
referencing this Discord with these photos to confirm the unit is ready and guests are available to now check in. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Absolutely. And the good thing is, like I said, Alfred is in Discord, right? And Alfred is the one doing guest communication as well. So it always looks at all the confirmation, all the statuses before it can even allow. And that's a really good point that you came up with it. Like, because some hosts are like, hey, never allow early check in, always ask me before. Yeah. Some
Mhm.
other hosts are like, no, 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 always allow pre check in. Or some other hosts are, hey, ask for an extra money, ask for $50, something like that for pre check or a post checkout. So, how do we remember that for every listing? How do we make sure that always happens? Well, this is where situational tasks come in. Pre check in is just one of the situation. Yeah. Pre-arrival communication check. What if there's other things, like there's a negative review, there's an overstay, there's a last minute booking request, there's a storm in the place, there's an emergency maintenance? How do we handle all these situations?
Mhm.
Well, we have accounted for all these situations through our 20 years plus of experience in operations, and all of that is accounted for here. So when I open this, for example, you know exactly what steps would be taken by Alfred and our team when there's a damage during the stay, for example. And for you, it's if you want something else to be done, you will just notify us, or Alfred. As easy as that. You can just go here and be like, Alfred, how would you handle a pre-check-in request? Yeah,
Mhm.
request by the guest, because you want to make sure. And now Alfred is actually going, it knows your situation task that is set up for that listing. And if you don't have already, we already have the best way possible, needed thing possible. And this is what it's going to do. Hey, I'm going to acknowledge and sympathize. Then I'm going to check availability. Then I'm going to do this. And by the way, this is not a normal chat GPT or Claude response. Alfred is a proprietary property management AI, which has learned over countless. Actually, we already know it's more than 30,000 reservations, which are 5-star reservations in every situation possible. Yeah.
Right.
So it
Right.
knows, and it's always getting better based on the best thing we found. And all you have to give us initially is when you click on import as something, you're going to give us what is the autonomy level you want us to be at, which is should we act before we ask you, or should we ask you before we act, and how much aggressive you want us to be on the revenue part.
Right.
Once you tell us that, that is all we need to know to do what we do best, which is operate your business for you.
Yeah. So that's super helpful, and it's amazing to see that this exists now, where you
Mm-hmm.
essentially have an entire team working for you, but really all in encompassed in one AI
Mm-hmm.
agent. So while we still have some time here, could we get into this other system that you guys have, which is pricing management and revenue management? One of the best ways to optimize revenue as an owner of an Airbnb is to have dynamic pricing. And
Mm-hmm.
there's several tools for that. But what HostEasy does is it also includes it with all of these other services that it
Mm-hmm.
provides. So, can we go over your revenue management system, what that looks like, and how students can use it to make sure they are getting booked for as big of bookings as possible, as much as possible?
Absolutely. So just to give you like an idea, we are already partnered with Price Labs. So the pricing you're getting, and you can do everything that you can do on Price Labs, you can do here, but better. And I'm telling you
And for
how.
those who don't know, real quick, what is Price Labs?
So Price Labs is one of the dynamic pricing tool, which is the gold standard right now, or has been for a really long time, to dynamically price your property. And what dynamic pricing means is when you have a different demand, different kind of tourists, different amount of tourists coming in your area, or different events going on. Based on that, we change the pricing for every single date so you can get the most revenue possible.
Hmm.
And this is almost impossible to do via humans by themselves, because it's very impossible for you to know what events are really going on. And then based on that, what is your competitor priced at, and what your property is worth, and then what your pricing should be. If you
Yep.
look at it here for this particular reservation or calendar, this listing, this is almost like a really good calendar in just general, right? Because it has about 70-ish% occupancy, which is what we always look for, 70 or 74. If you are getting more occupancy, that means you could price higher in general. Yeah.
Hmm.
And if you're less, so you could price low. And on top of that, you are also seeing that how it's filled. And if you look at the pricing, it's ranging anywhere from like $1,000 a night to 1,500 to about 1,600 a night. And these are still filled. The same person before would do a constant $550 a night. Let's imagine. And now they're earning about 3 times more, since they joined us. And why we say we're fully transparent, how I showed you that we have full transparency into operations. Yeah.
Hmm.
We also show you all the things we are looking for when we are pricing this. You can see what is the seasonality, if how is the demand right now, how is the occupancy, what are the thresholds like, right? And based on all this information, and on top, we show you the event itself. Right now, there's a concert going on in Las Vegas called Sick New World. So we have accounted for that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Here, there's like EDC going on. Look at that. The same listing is now going for $2,500 a night, which
Yep.
was $1,000 a night before that because of EDC. So we look at all these events and we price your listings like that, and you have full control over it.
Hmm.
What I mean by full control, we never are going to breach what you are not comfortable with. As simple as that. That is our rule. When I say we, I also include Alfred. So if you have mentioned a minimum of this or a maximum of this, we can never go beyond or below that guardrails that we've set. So if you say never go below 1,068, even though as per pricing we want to go below, we're not going to go. For example, here, these dates are not filled. You see how they're capped at 1,068? As
Hmm.
for pricing tool, we would have wanted to be lower, but we are not, because we always are going to be in your guardrails.
Hmm.
Same goes for trip length as well. If I mention, hey, never allow less than 3 night bookings, you mentioned that here, we'll never allow that. And that's the beauty of it. But we go even further, which is we don't just take pricing that we get from Price Labs right off the hook. No, 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 no. We are looking at this is Price Labs pricing on steroids. What I mean by that. So because Alfred knows your property intimately, whatever we get from Price Labs, we take all of that information. Then we have our own events data that we look at, And then Alfred is also looking into how many flights landed and what demographic, what age group of people landed there. And then looks at what kind of age group does your property actually attract based on the event that is going on, because it's so intelligent. And then it sets up your pricing. It
Mm.
also looks at one more thing, which is what is your preference. If you select these dates and you be more aggressive on occupancy, you see how prices are changing?
Mhm.
It also looks at your recommendation as well, making sure you're not lowballing yourself. Or if you want to like get as much money as possible for the night, it's making sure you're not being overzealous. So
Right.
it takes all these things into consideration right now when it's setting the final pricing for you while being in the guardrails. And that's what makes it super powerful and almost impossible for any other tool to be able to do that. And
Yeah. It's very impressive and very advanced in terms of pricing and revenue management. How much of a premium do you think most owners are getting from using a tool or a system like this
Mhm.
relative?
Oh my God. Airbnb smart pricing, you're better off not doing any dynamic pricing at all. Just a piece of advice. Okay.
Yeah.
It really lowballs you because they're just trying to maximize more bookings possible and you really leave a lot of money on the table. We don't want that, right?
Mhm.
If you have never used a pricing tool at all, we, as per the data we have seen, for sure increase your revenue by 32 to 35%. If
Mhm.
you're already using a dynamic pricing tool, still we have seen an increase in revenue by at least 23% on an average.
Yeah.
This is across all the things. Some clients have seen up to 300%, like this listing, right?
Mhm.
It's pretty insane on all the things you've seen. So that's what we always look at when it comes to pricing. But there's one more. We also go a level deeper. This was dynamic pricing. Yeah, you see one more of this. You see this third icon. This is revenue management. So we also have partnered with one of the biggest revenue management company in US, and if you want, you can enable their services as well. It's literally like a subscription. You will just pay $50 a month, which, by the way, if you would try to get it yourself, you will have to have at least 300 properties in your portfolio, or they would charge you $1,000 onboarding fee and 2% of whatever extra revenue they make. You
Mhm.
get the same service for $50. And what they do is that they're very strategic about what needs to be done. So they will go in your portfolio, set up your comp rates, set up your competitors, comp set is what we call it, and every day they're going inside your calendar and making sure that, for example, this person uses revenue management. It's unnameable, but they do, right? So if I go here, like they actually are looking at all the strategies they can use to book your calendar as much as possible, like getting the last minute bookings. Maybe even this date, we should like do something about that. See your compare comp set, maybe set your pricing from $200 to $201 because that will sit better on the algorithm. And that's how, if you look at this, it's a crazy calendar. This is
Mhm.
not a cheap per night date, right? And it's one of the most saturated calendars out there. They have never seen something like this. So you
Yep.
can also, rather than hiring one more service, you can just subscribe to that
Yep.
just with the click
Amazing.
of a button.
Amazing. And would you mind going back to that screen that showed all the different tools that HostEasy essentially replaces? Um,
Yes,
and then we'll
absolutely.
we'll end there as we're wrapping up. But I just want to show one more time because we just covered a lot of things. And when you're operating a short-term rental, typically there are about 12 different aspects of the business that you need to handle. And the idea of a tool or a software like HostEasy is having all of that in one place to save you. So
Hmm.
one of the reasons we're talking to HostEasy for this program is a lot of these buyers or investors, they're just trying to operate their one or maybe a few short-term rentals and make sure those perform as well as possible. And a tool like this, if you spend time investing in it upfront and learning how to use this tool effectively, it will save you so much more time than trying to learn these 12 separate tools. So, Akshay, before we jump off here, is there any last advice that you would give someone that just purchased their first short-term rental? They set up the listing on Airbnb, they got it designed, they got it furnished, they have professional photos taken, and now they
Hmm.
are ready to start to operate it and get
Hmm.
five-star reviews and make as much money as possible. Any last pieces of advice that they should be thinking about in this
Hmm.
journey?
The more time you take to to place your The more time you take to actually place your listing with the optimization that it needs, the more money you're leaving on the table. So I would say really always focus on how you can save the most amount of time to get yourself out of the monotonous task and place your pricing and everything else in the best strategic position possible so it earns the most money that you can. That is what I would always recommend.
Awesome. And then last question, are there any mistakes that you commonly see for a new operator that you would give them some guidance around to avoid?
Absolutely. Two mistakes that I see time and time again. One is taking a lot of time in setting your pricing and optimizing the listing properly. A lot of times they think the listings are optimized, but they are not. Make sure it's SEO optimized. Make sure the pictures are the key. Your listing is actually almost like Tinder, but of properties. So you have to make sure the photos are top notch. But if you really get scientific about it, to know, hey, how many people are looking at your listing, and then what is the ratio for them from looking your listing to clicking the listing, which is click through rate, and from clicking to converting, which is conversion rate. That is the fundamental. Everything else that anyone else says, do not believe that. Numbers don't lie.
Awesome. Akshay, thank you so much for your time. We will have a link to a Host Easy demo or a conversation with Akshay. So everyone in the program will have a discount code as well. And Akshay, thank you again for taking some time to walk through such an impressive platform that could save hosts so much time and make them a lot more money than they could have otherwise. So we'll wrap it up there and we'll see everyone on the next module. Thank